Hey, it's Insiight here, welcome back, and today we will be playing the Stanley Parable. And yeah, I've not played this game yet, and I haven't really seen gameplay apart from demo gameplay. So yeah, let's get started. The end is never the end. 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 And we're in.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Sounds pretty fun.
Although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Your room is floating.
And Stanley was happy.
Why is your room floating?
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So I guess I'm Stanley.
All his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yes. Missed the memo. Should have checked the memos before you got in here. Not good.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No, he didn't. He entered the door on his right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Exactly. Can I get in? No. No.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
It's not
Stanley
very
simply stood
immaculate.
here, drinking it all in.
Yes, let's continue.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nope, he definitely took the door right in front of him. Yep. Yeah.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
That's a bit harsh.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
He also fell off this moving platform.
I realize that but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Well, at least we know it's never the end. Alright. We're back here again.
Were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yep. I know. You said that twice now. Alright, this time we'll go to the left room.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Ooh. Well, it's very bright today. Must be a very sunny day. Man. This never happens in England.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
What do people want? Things, money, more money, things, but with money to buy more things? Graphs about things and money. Okay. Using slides to assure that employees Oh, okay. Everyone is unique. I know. Can't jump in this game. Number of slides on the slides. Wow. Okay. We need reviews. Yep, you definitely do. Work harder. Her. All the boards are different. Okay. That's quite a surprise, actually. Oh, that bit's blurred out. What does it say? What did it say? Oh, tomorrow. Complete today's unfinished agenda items. Write next day's agenda. And reflect. Yep. Sums up my day. A boat. Oh, okay. Don't push me.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
So he did.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Which way's quicker? I'm already halfway down.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that.
Yes.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Wait,
Why did
I was
doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
No.
And for that
I was
matter,
just here.
these
Wait,
rooms
what?
were starting to
Hang
look
on.
pretty familiar.
What?
Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue.
Oh my,
he just
what?
hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
Okay.
He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. He
Alright.
thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield.
Oh, he's not
and it
flying
too
anymore.
appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found
Right.
it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was
This
Stanley
game
simply
is getting
deceiving
really
himself,
confusing.
believing that if he's
Oh my
asleep, he
God.
doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain
Yeah,
beyond a
I'm
doubt
just gonna take
that
a
this
seat
was in
here
fact a dream.
and
Did
listen
the
to
voice
him
not see him
talk.
float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all
Yes.
that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin. the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
That was so emotional. Okay. Wow, okay.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice?
No.
Who am I? Who am I?
You're Stanley.
And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Okay.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Is that Stanley?
On this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Yep.
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
That's very rude. Should never do that. Alright, that's it for the first part of the Stanley Parable. If you'd like me to continue, then I'll continue. If you don't, then just let me know, and I'll play a different game. So yeah guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Psst. The end is never the end.